season-ending no-hitter for the Nebraska Cornhuskers since 1954, and he did it on his 12th strikeout.
Thompson got it! Underdog in and one! Exclamation point! Pump the brakes!
Now your hosts, KLIN contributor Cole Stukenholtz and sports director Nate Rohr.
Good Saturday morning. Welcome to another edition of the KLIN Husker Hour. It is first time I've been on the air since the day Nebraska beat Vanderbilt to go to the Sweet 16. We're going to live in that world for a while. We don't need to talk about what happened after that, although we will. We've got a lot to get to. We've got football. Spring football is over already. What are our thoughts from the spring game, the spring as a whole, going into the fall, expectations, indictments, whatever. A lot to get to on the diamond with baseball and softball both streaking through the quad and into the gymnasium. It's been a fun spring so far for those two sports, and they're looking to keep things rolling this weekend. Double headers today after the crappy weather's over yesterday. And to do all of that, to cover all of that ground, I've got my trusty sidekick, Nate Rohr, along with us. Nate, welcome.
Greetings. Go Big Red.
And old friend Kaleb Henry of HuskerMax. Kaleb, what's going on?
Hello. This is still far too early. This is can we push this thing back to like noon?
You want to do 6 a.m. again?
Still too early. Yeah. I'm saying it's got to have a PM at the end of this thing.
Oh wow.
that I can't do.
How quickly they get soft, huh, Caleb?
Fine. I'm soft. Call me soft. I'll take it.
Yes.
Yeah. It's always good to have you in. And you and I have not seen each other since we were in Oklahoma City.
Since a bar in Oklahoma City.
Since before the Vandy game, actually.
Yes.
We didn't see each other after.
Yeah, it was Friday night. Yeah.
It was, yeah. And so we talked on Saturday, a couple Saturdays ago. We didn't have a show last week because of the spring game.
Mm-hmm.
Just the world we were living in with Nebraska having won a tournament game. They took it to the next level with the Sweet 16 trip, having gotten by Vandy. And yesterday, Fred Hoiberg named Coach of the Year by the AP. Well-deserved. You've got other awards like within the region for Price Sandford. He was the all-region team in the in the South region. And so Dave Feit wrote, I don't want to forget this. I don't want to let this season go. I don't want to let these players be forgotten yet. Not that they'll be forgotten soon, but it's
not ready to say goodbye.
Right.
Is what the piece is.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the Final Four is today. You've got two Big Ten teams still alive, two teams that Nebraska A beat and B played better than just about anybody without two of their main guys. All of that.
The Leo Curtis game.
The Leo Curtis game.
Yes.
All of that to say the world we're living in now where Nebraska is committing more money to basketball, allegedly, where Fred Hoiberg is going to take this thing and run with it. You've got an opportunity to strike and build off of this while the transfer portal is going to be opening up here this week.
3 days.
Like,
oh boy.
I'm enjoying the optimism, and I'm enjoying the weird feeling I have that I think Nebraska basketball specifically is going to get this thing right. And it's a place that we have not been like ever in our lives because Nebraska does not get things done in basketball. So it's fun. It's fun. I think everybody's enjoying themselves despite the fact that they didn't make it to the Elite Eight or the Final Four and the dream ended. But man, it's been a fun time.
Think about this for a second. For all of the success that Nebraska athletics have had, the football championships, the volleyball championships, the especially the like 80s for Husker softball, but obviously they're hitting that territory this year and expected to be back in OKC. Men's gymnastics, the bowling program. There's not a program on campus that is going through, in my opinion, what Nebraska men's basketball is going through right now. Because historically, you didn't have the transfer portal. So you had the success. You had a national championship. You had Women's College World Series. You had baseball College World Series runs. You didn't come back and say, what are you going to reload in a 15-day window? It was, what do you have coming back? What is this signing class? Nebraska ball right now is going through something with all of its excitement that's never occurred on this campus. Because usually, think about what happens when you get done with football season. All right, what's the portal going to bring? Like for the last several years, what can they do in the portal? Where can they shore up some stuff? You're coming off of either just having missed a bowl game or just barely made a bowl game. Volleyball, it's been you get to the transfer portal window and it's, God, please don't let anybody go. Please make sure everyone's coming back. Nebraska ball right now is, I don't want to say goodbye to those guys in this season. But I'm kind of excited. What are they going to do in the portal? There's the increase in rev share and in NIL funding, and likely bringing back first team all Big Ten sixth man of the year, a lot of other talent. What's the portal going to bring? It's excitement in such a different way than we've experienced in the portal era.
Well, and I think different in that you still think you can cut new ground, because I think it was such. And Fred spoke to this, that when they would go recruit players, players elsewhere would hear, hey, they have never won at men's basketball. They're never really going to commit. They're never really going to try. Do you want to go to a place that can't go there? And so now that Nebraska has the backpack of bricks off their back, where they have proof of concept, they have not just one, but 2 NCAA tournament wins to where this thing works. And then also a 3-year body of work, 20 wins every year, 2 NCAA tournaments. The 1 year you didn't go to the tournament, you won the postseason tournament you were in. This feels like this is the rare moment, especially in Nebraska athletics, where it feels like a growth stock. Where it feels like you're going up instead of, even with volleyball, which is wonderful, but where you feel like you're maintaining. It's more fun to cut new ground than to hold the ground you have.
That's a good point on volleyball, because you can go in, and a couple of years ago, you had Merritt Beeson in the portal, and it's like, whoa, this is a big deal. She comes in, and she's a captain right away, and All-American right side. But what you were doing is you're trying to get back to the Final Four. You've been there. You've won these national championships. John Baylor continues to this is the golden age of Nebraska volleyball for all of the success and the stadium match and all of the records. They're the Beatles everywhere that they go. Men's basketball is not at that level. But man, the excitement it was Beatles-esque in OKC.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, there is sort of now an expectation that, volleyball, they're trying to get back somewhere. Nebraska basketball now is, for the first time, trying to get back somewhere where they really, really want to be. Not just like a bare minimum, like be on the bubble, maybe make it to the dance, see what can happen. No, the Big Ten is having an incredible postseason. They've got 2 teams playing for spots in the national championship game tonight. And Nebraska finished second in that conference.
Yeah.
15 conference wins, most in program history. All the firsts, all the bests, all the streaks that this team accomplished this year that are program history now. And on the floor, Fred's proven that he can go find a big man to replace another big man. When Derek Walker left, I was like, okay, well, that's a really big loss. He's got to find somebody who can fill those shoes, and hopefully they can do it better. Voila, here's Rink Mast.
Yeah.
You've got Bryce Williams in that 1 year stopgap when Rink was out, when Sam was kind of on the upward trajectory. Jamarcus had left. You didn't have Price yet, but they still built the offense around an elite scorer in Bryce Williams. Casey was a man unto himself in that regard. And so there's multiple ways that Fred's won. There's a couple of different seasons where they've played a couple different ways and relied on different things to get to the tournament. And now I think if you're out there in the portal, you're going to have a pretty strong case made by Nebraska if Fred and company want you, because they've got a blueprint. They showed you what it looks like. hey, if you're a point guard, do you play hard? Do you think you're good at defense? Do you think you lead the country in assist to turnover ratio? Okay, look at what this guy did. All right, can you do that? It's sort of a challenge, but it's also a, hey, you're talented enough to do this. We believe in your skill set. We think you can come do what Sam Hoiberg did, and maybe even do it better. A la Derek Walker, we think Rink Mass, we think you can do what he did. Maybe you can even do it better. And then look at that. He takes it to the next level. So pairing all of that with Price Sanford, who I would assume is going to go through the NBA process.
So not as much. Robin Wash at Husker Online did you see his piece earlier this week? So they had heard Sanford is actually going through a sports hernia injury.
Oh, that's right.
So that was the groin injury that he talked about earlier this season. He's going to have surgery that's going to knock him out for several weeks. He's not going to be able to spend this time working out for NBA teams.
Yeah, there you go.
So his testing the NBA draft waters, where he was already a mid-second rounder, they're probably not looking at him as hard. And what that does, it's a little bit of good, a little bit of bad. The little bit of bad is, okay, he is going through a surgery. And you do have to do, no matter how minor a surgery is, surgery. You still have to deal with that. You still have to go through the rehab. You got to get back and got to get right. And he obviously, think about how well he freaking played in the tournament still. But the good for Husker fans and for Nebraska ball is, okay, increasing the likelihood that he's back next year, I was already pretty certain he was going to be back even after testing the waters. This increases those odds for me.
Yeah. And not honestly, if you're a mid-second rounder, maybe he'd be making more here out of NIL opportunities.
I think he's going to, because if you sign in the second round, you can sign for the minimum. You can sign for above that if someone wants to, but the minimum is like $1.3 million.
Yeah.
I think he's going to make more than that here at Nebraska.
Yeah. And Nebraska, it was reported they had the lowest NIL budget or roster budget, roster payout of any Sweet 16 team.
Yeah, but who has those actual numbers? Whenever I see those, I'm like, guys, this isn't up. You can't FOIA this.
Right. It was reported. But the point stands.
Nate knows. He sees the softball numbers. He's like, where do you guys get that?
Yeah.
But
Kennedy's not making that, right?
I got to hold out for more money.
That's true. Yeah, play-by-play NIL, huh? What's going on? But you have Price likely now. It looks like maybe more likely coming back. You have Braden Frager, who, hey, who knows what he's going to do, but he's retweeting dudes who are hitting the portal and saying, let's go. That's a good sign.
And he retweeted the Fred Hoiberg thing yesterday.
Yep.
So you have that. And there started to be some rumors, and there was a Kansas blog said that, okay, Kansas and Braden Frager have mutual interests. I'm like, well, that's definitely tampering if that's the information you have. But I don't see that happening. If he wanted to, he put himself in position to go somewhere and make a lot of money. I think he's going to get an increase in what he's making here and step into a bigger role on a team that just went to the Sweet 16, where you see him walking off the court arms around each other with Fred Hoiberg one game and Sam Hoiberg the next. Okay, he's in on this program. And I actually have less feeling that Frager is going to leave than Sanford's going to the NBA.
Oh. Okay. But all of that to say, Nate, it looks like you're going to have some building blocks on this roster.
Sure.
Plus, as I mentioned, Hoiberg's got his proof of concept. He's going to be able to show recruits in the portal, hey, this is the role. This is what we think you can do. Can you do it better?
Yeah. I mean, what's the shopping list for you? Is it point guard? Is it big man? Where are you starting first if you get to spend Fred's money?
Well, yeah. So you've got if nobody leaves, you have 3 spots available.
Yeah.
2 to get to 15, 3 because one of the players is a designated student athlete. You had 16 on the roster this last year. That's a little bit in the weeds, but think about it this way: you have three open spots right now if no one else leaves. So number one, I want someone who can be ball dominant guard. So someone who can dribble. It's Jamarcus Lawrence-esque. It's Sam Hoiberg-esque. Someone who can handle that ball in pressure, especially if there's somebody who can get into the paint. Because that was a thing that Nebraska needed to do more was, could you have someone just put their head down, get into the paint? Frager, I thought, was that guy, and then he was hurt a little bit. Yeah. So there were a couple of games you lost that without the ankle injury, I think he gets you over the hump. which is amazing to think about this season, that if he gets 1 or 2 of those games back, maybe it's the Illinois game in Lincoln. Like there's stuff like that. So I just thought there were opportunities. You want someone who can get into the paint. And I want another big man. I want someone who's going to not just be a depth big man, even if Oogie's back. And I want Berkay at the 4. There was some stuff where I was seeing people are like, oh, go get these guys. And then Berkay's at the 5. I'm like, all right, all of the issues you guys thought were this year with rebounding and rim protecting, Berkay at the 5 is going to give you that. Yeah. So Berkay at the 4, I think, runs really, really well. If you can get a good size 5, someone who maybe brings some more rebounding, maybe a little bit of shot blocking, because if you pair a shot blocking big with Berkay, you are patrolling the inside really, really well inside this defense, even with the rotations. Now there is a Lincoln native who's going to be hitting the portal from Colorado, Bangot Dak. Yeah. I've heard that's not happening, just not a good fit. Yeah. But there's a lot of bigs in this class. There are a lot of really good bigs in this class. I think if you can go get someone who's a definitive starter at the big position, and you want to get someone who can come in and be a ball dominant guard and play within the offense, the way there's a lot of off ball movement. But if you need somebody to get the ball in their hands and get into the paint, whether it's get to the rim and score or dish it out to shooters, those are the 2 things that I would definitely want to get this cycle.
Yeah. Portal opens April 7th, so we'll see any incomings and outgoings. We'll see those reports coming on pretty strong. But that's an update on the hoops. I know you got. Are you going to stay for one more segment, or you got to run?
No,
now?
I've got to. We're doing Easter egg hunts this morning.
There you go. All right. Well, good luck. I hope you find many.
Thank you.
I know Millie put a bunch out for you to go find.
Can't wait to get home and see where they've hid them.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, hey, we appreciate you, Caleb. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Caleb.
Anytime, guys.
We are back after this to talk. We'll dig into spring football before we get to the Diamond here on Husker Hour.
How would you like giving you an inside look at everything Huskers? This is the KLIN Husker Hour on 1499.3 KLIN.
Big thanks to Kaleb Henry from HuskerMax stopping by the show. If you missed that, you can make sure check out the podcast page at klin.com. You can subscribe to the feed at Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts. You can give us a rating and review and all that good stuff. We're also up on the StreamYard. Kenny Larrabee's got us live on all the KLIN socials, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, on the Husker Hour Facebook page as well. So check us out there. And Nate, we weren't on the air last week because spring football game in March. We are already done with spring football. I think most of us might have missed it with all the fervor around Husker hoops, but it still happened. It still existed. Matt Rule and company all talked about it. And here we are now trying to sift through and figure out what the heck we're going to see for 2026. And I think there's some reasons for optimism. I think there's still reasons for skepticism. And you know, it's Husker football in the 2000s. It's a Rorschach test, and you're going to see what you want to see, I think, going into this season.
Yeah, it was tough to get much of any real earth-shattering understanding from that spring game, frankly, as it should be. I mean, look, that's the one time you're out in the public from your bowl game until your first game. And so you don't want to be selling the whole farm. You don't want the entire picture of who you are or what you're doing to be out there. The Anthony Calandria experience was pretty much as I expected. You know, he's mobile. He could make plays. He threw an interception. Run for 1,000 or anything like that, but to where he can be a useful running back for Nebraska this year. So those were my big impressions. I mean, look, Quasi Gilmer got a couple of catches, but there wasn't enough there to really make a declaration. And then the run, the defense seemed serviceable.
Yeah.
Okay. Still didn't see much havoc up front. And again, the things that you might do schematically to help that along, to help encourage that along, you're probably not going to do in a spring game, especially in your first year with a new defensive coordinator. But, the big questions that I still have about Nebraska's front are still there. And I don't know what I could have seen last Saturday that would have told me, hey, this is going to be a dominant defense.
Yeah, let's start with the defense and dig into that a little bit more. I agree. You're not going to see a lot of the exotic stuff in a spring game. That being said, Rob Orich does have his work cut out for him because they did struggle up front last year without guys like Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmaker. And it was obvious when they played better competition, better fronts, Nebraska just couldn't do anything. And they were kind of at the offense's mercy. So the fact that you saw flashes from a guy like Jashir Whittington, the D tackle from Pitt, that's good. You need guys on the interior to be able to do some stuff, and he was able to do some stuff. I wonder if Anthony Jones might be able to make an impact off the edge. He was not able to play in the spring game for good reason.
Yeah.
He and his wife had a baby, so good for him. But he's a guy who can give you a little bit of juice in the pass rush. And then, frankly, there's guys on the roster who may be able to do that as well. Maybe Willis McGahee takes a step. Maybe Cam Lenhart is able to do some of that for you off the edge. And Tyson Terry, he was very well thought of out at Omaha North. Was the 4-time heavyweight state champ in wrestling and did not play at all last year due to injury. Could he be a Nash Hutmaker type in his redshirt freshman season? Potentially. He did see the field quite a bit. You saw Cade Petschak up front as well. At linebacker, I mean, Owen Chambliss is certainly a guy who knows the system coming from San Diego State with Orich. Same at safety with Dwayne McNougal. I think those guys are going to be leaders and hopefully for the defense's sake, vocal leaders so that they can impress upon everybody what to do, make sure that everybody's lined up right. But there are roles to be had, and it's going to be a pretty open competition. I don't know. I think based on the lineups that you saw, I think it's easier to see where the coaches kind of think the starting lineup lies right now. But there's still, I think, plenty of competition to be sorted out before you get to August and September.
Yeah, the offense feels, if not set, at least close.
Yeah, especially up front.
Yeah, I mean, you feel like you've got your 5 up front. You feel like you've got your quarterback. You feel like you've got your wide receivers, really. I mean,
yeah.
And of course, Lindenmeyer's going to start at tight end. I think running back's an open question, but it's really the open question for next year. Whereas defensively between scheme and especially struggle in that front 7 and especially up front, I mean, it should all be up for grabs, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a guy like Cam Lenhart coming back, you should feel a little poke, a little tinge of, I'm playing for my spot right now, because you didn't perform at the level good enough to walk into the season saying, I'm locked in, I'll be a black shirt, I'll play 50 snaps a game. You should not, you can't look at what you did last year and say that. And so this has to be a great conditioning period. This has to be a great summer conditioning period as well. I'll be interested to see how they use this extra month, where they've already completed spring ball. I mean, usually this is where spring ball starts.
Yeah.
And so how does that change things where they get an extra month to lift weights, to condition? How does that help them? How does that change them? Or how does that change how they go about this period? Because, the one thing you can say for Matt Rule, and there have been good, there have been bad things, there have been ups, there have been downs. He's been willing to change. And he's, sometimes you can read that as a lack of conviction in his ways. And sometimes you can read that as a willingness to adapt. And hopefully it's the latter. Yeah. Hopefully he's adapting and he's found some things that'll work moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, there's people who will use that as an indictment against Rule. Oh, well, look at him. He's changing his offensive coordinator mid-season. Yeah. Hey, look, it does take a level of conviction to admit that you were wrong, essentially, and change it because you saw that you were wrong. Like, if you have an opinion and then you get new facts and then your opinion turns out to be obviously false, that you're allowed to change your opinion. You can go back on that when you have new information. So there is, maybe he could have got it wrong or right on the front end, but he did at least see, hey, I need to address this and fix this. The one other thing, you can't really judge a whole lot of it in a spring game, but special teams is going to be huge this season. I don't remember there being any snapping issues, so that's good. Good job, Jack Wills. Let's forget your name now. And then the kicking was good, except for, I think, one miss by, I can't remember his name. It was the one that the PA guy released, not the PA guy, but the interior, the press box PA guy.
I think I slaughtered it.
Yeah, well, but I think it was ominous. The literal opening kickoff was dropped with no coverage bearing down on him. Don't remember who it was, but special teams. You have to not backslide, right? You took steps, right? And the guy who's there now is a Mike Eckler disciple, along with Brett Maher, who's obviously going to be more kicking centric. But boy, just don't go backwards too far, and I think you'll be okay. At
Hold
special
serve.
teams. Exactly.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be an asset like it was last year. It just merely has to be good. It merely has to be passable and not the disaster that it had been really the entire decade prior.
Yeah. That's all you got to do. Special teams. That's all you got to do.
Don't be terrible, please.
Yeah. And my one Calandria take, he's just quicker.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
You see Lateef, you see KLIN out there. Calandria is just quicker. The decision making, the ball out of his hand, the first step when he decides he's going to scramble, all of that is just quicker. And so that is a good sign if you're Nebraska, wanting a little bit more juice, wanting a little bit more unpredictability for the defense to not know what's going on. That he will certainly give you. The rest of it,
we'll see.
We'll see. We certainly will. All right. When we get back, we're going to hit the diamond. Softball, baseball, nationally ranked on top of the world. They're going for regional hostings, positioning themselves for super regional. If you're softball, things are in a good spot. How have they been doing it? We're going to get to all that when we come back here on the KLIN Husker Hour.
Wake up.
You a complete review of the Huskers news this week. This is the KLIN Husker Hour on Lincoln's Husker Radio, 1499.3 K.
Top 5 Nebraska softball. Say it with me, folks. Woo-hoo! They're playing really well. Well. They're in the driver's seat for the Big Ten title. They are well positioned to host not only a regional, Nate, but a super regional, which is where you want to be to have the best chance to get down to OKC for the WCWS. And they just have a lot of ways they can beat you this season. They're not overly reliant on the superstar that everybody knows, Jordy Fromm. They obviously rely on her, but not so much. Like, they've got other pitching depth that's been very, very good. They've actually had 3 total Big Ten pitchers of the week this season. And then the lineup is just full of power, full of pop. They really put a lot of pressure on the opposing team's pitching and defense. They're really the total package, and Rhonda Ravel's got to be loving life right now.
Yeah, they're positioned well. You know, you feel like they had to do most of their work in non-conference because, as we know, the Big Ten is not as strong in softball as the SEC, as the ACC, even the Big 12. And then that's been made more acute by the struggles of this conference this year. I mean, Washington has dropped a couple of non-conference games to St. Mary's this week. UCLA was in trouble last night against Indiana. Oregon has been very up and down, and that's your top crust of the conference. Michigan was Michigan started 0-6 in the league, which was unbelievable. Northwestern's mediocre. Ohio State, which was a regional team last year, really took a step back. So Nebraska did what they had to do in the non-conference. They have the top non-conference. And now it's just a matter of staying focused and putting your best self out there. And that, I was talking about this with basketball, where cutting new ground is often easier than holding ground. Holding your performance level and holding where you are, what you've already achieved. And so that's going to be the challenge for this team, because as they jog out there the next 5 weekends, they are going to be favored to not just win, but sweep probably 3 of them. And so they have to work very hard to basically silence my voice, which, hey, just ask my kids. My kids can tell you all you need to know about ignoring Nate Rohr's voice. They should hold a master class. They would do great, and they should make money off it, which would be good.
And you give TED Talks on it.
Indeed. They can at least talk. But if they stay focused, if they put the best version of themselves out there, they should win the Big Ten. I think it's just that simple. And as you look at this Rutgers team, this is a very flawed Rutgers team. They're not great pitching wise. And then you look at Wisconsin might be the toughest conference test left, especially having to go on the road. So this thing's set up well for Nebraska. It's just a matter of continuing the mental challenge of keeping yourself sharp, even if an outside voice might whisper to you, hey, you could get by with your B- effort and still probably win this game.
Yeah, don't listen to that voice.
Yeah.
Don't listen to that voice. Yeah, so the Huskers are rated as high as 5th in the country. If you look up numbers 1 and 2, Nebraska has beaten both of them this season when they were number 1. So that's a feather in their cap. Like you said, a lot of hay is already in the barn.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a good thing. It's just a matter of making sure that you maintain, as you mentioned, the standard they've set game in and game out. What has been the biggest surprise that you've seen this season, and as far as a contributor in the lineup, or just the game in, game out dominance and consistency? What do you think has caught you off guard?
Maybe the pitching depth.
Yeah.
I knew that they would put a lot of work on Alexis Jensen's plate to pitch for the staff, and you always wonder, how do you balance being as good as you can be with also developing the rest of your pitching staff? And in fact, Jensen's got more than enough work to develop her, and she's won.
Yeah. And
so she has deserved the workload that she's gotten. She's really earned all the work that she's gotten. And then, Hannah Kamensen has pitched well for this team at times. She earned Conference Pitcher of the Week a couple of weeks ago. And they've even gotten good work out of Kylie McGee, which, after last year was something of a surprise. Maybe it shouldn't be, just from the standpoint that McGee was still working through a wrist injury and was not at 100%. I don't think at any point last year. Yeah. But she was a good pitcher for Arizona State, and she can turn in some good innings for you. The real test is can she win a conference game for you, or do you even lean on her to win a conference game for you? Then that tells you really have something there, because then that's when the rubber meets the road, and you're saying that we really trust this person. But the pitching depth has been perhaps the most pleasant surprise, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, 5 series to go before the Big Ten tournament. You've got Rutgers with a doubleheader today. Nights are in Lincoln. First pitch is
1 o'clock.
Yep. So you'll be on
pre-game at 12:45 over on B107.3. If you missed it earlier this week, we will have the remainder of the Husker softball season on B107.3, except for the 3 volleyball conflicts. Those will bump over to 105.3 The Bone, but you should just know the rest of the Husker softball season, regular season, and postseason. And buddy, there's going to be a postseason. That's going to be here on either B or Bone, but the station's a broadcast house.
Very good. Yeah, and well deserved, as this team, man, are definitely appointment listening and appointment viewing at this point. And hey, set a program record for weekend attendance over at Bolin. They upped the capacity, and Husker fans delivered. It was a great weekend for it too.
If you build it, he will come.
All right. Well, we will come. We will see what Husker baseball is building as well. I think there's a postseason in their future too.
Yeah.
We'll check in with the Husker baseball team and get you caught up with what they've got going on right after this here on the KLIN Husker Hour.
Husker football, basketball, baseball, and beyond. This is the KLIN Husker Hour on 1499.3 KLIN.
Well, as we mentioned, Husker softball has a doubleheader today, and they beat Creighton this week.
Woohoo!
Always good to
broke in their new ballpark the right way. Take that.
That's right. Always good to beat that team in blue. Also with a doubleheader today, and also coming off of a win over Creighton, Husker baseball. First day that Nebraska baseball and softball both beat Creighton since 2005 or 2002? 2002.
2002. And the fun part was, okay, so softball went up I-80 and beat Creighton that night. I was sitting at Haymarket Park that night watching Nebraska baseball beat Creighton in the rain, and a fight nearly break out.
You posted that DN story on Twitter. I remember
that was phenomenal.
That's good stuff. Well, good stuff on the diamond. You look back at the month of March for Husker with the loss to Auburn. And then they lost one more time the rest of the month, and that was the 2-1 loss against Michigan, and they ended up winning that series. So 18-2 month of March. And
that'll play.
And they are up in the rankings as well, as high as 19th this week after their series sweep last week. And then they are in action again. It's Penn State this weekend, and Nebraska's 19-2 all time against the Nittany Lions. So you would hope that Will Bolt's boys can get a sweep this weekend. I think one of the biggest developments lately has been that we saw in midweek, Cooper Katsky was doing the job.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't start in the weekend rotation off the bat because of not an injury. He had an illness, I think it was the first weekend. So they moved him to the midweek just because he couldn't go on the weekend. And Gavin Blachowicz pitched well enough to hold that spot for a while, but now Cooper Katsky is firmly in that Sunday role.
Right.
And they've got a very good Friday, Saturday, Sunday rotation. And that's a great place to start, especially in the Big Ten, where you don't have the pitching depth across the league like Nebraska does. Nebraska's really been able to lean on teams like that. And they've figured out some things in the bullpen as well. So the pitching is where I've started with how good this team's been this year.
And you feel like, especially the last few years, Nebraska has been able to develop that starting rotation. Yeah. And it just makes your life so much easier if you as an offense operate with the idea that, hey, if we score 5 runs, we're going to win this game. We're going to be okay. We don't need to score 10 to have a shot to win this thing. And how do you avoid that? You avoid that by having your starting pitcher go out and give you 6 great innings to where you're not getting into the soft underbelly of your bullpen in the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th. And so it's not a surprise that Rob Childress has built a strong starting pitching staff. There had been concerns about the depth of this pitching staff, especially last year, but it feels like that's trending in the right direction. The bullpen could still stand to be a little more solid, but it feels like things are going in the right direction in that respect, to where you can rely on this pitching staff to do its job, to keep the Huskers in games, and then there's more than enough offense to come through.
Yeah, and speaking of offense, this is what Nebraska's got. I mean, Mac Moyer has taken that leadoff spot, and I think since then the lineup has sort of picked itself for Will Bolt. You've got Moyer hitting 404, Dylan Carey hitting 403.
Yeah.
1 and 2 hitting over 400.
Guys.
Great start.
Yep.
I'll take
That'll
it.
play.
I'll have what they're having. Yeah. Case Sanderson's at 364, Rhett Stokes at 360, Jet Bucks at 342. I mean, all 5 of those guys really leading from the front. You've got contributions up and down the lineup. You've had big hits from Rhett Stokes. You've had big hits from Drew Grego, the true freshman from Bellevue West. Cole Kitchens has contributed as well as his role as a newcomer. But they've just had, and Jeter Worthley has been a very big impact player as a true freshman at catcher. But they've just got a lot of returning bats who have come back and become the best version of themselves. Dylan Carey, I think, is chief among them. Did not get drafted last year. Came back with basically with a chip on his shoulder, with a mission, whatever cliche you want to use, it applies because it has worked really well for him. The power has been there. The average is there. The defense has been there. He's the alpha on this team, and it's been great to have him, and it's been great to see the success his senior season.
Well, yeah, and he's had a track record of success to where guys can look at him and say, okay, this is how you do it. This is how you go about this, and follow his lead and lean on him a little bit. Say, okay, show us the way, Dylan. And he's done that this year. And, especially where now it feels like it's been contagious. They always say good hitting is contagious. Well, the bug has caught and they're all hitting fairly well.
Yeah. And now when you look ahead, this team's 23-6. It's the best start for Nebraska since 2008. What else is significant about 2008 with Husker baseball? That's the last time Nebraska hosted a regional, folks.
Yep.
You got to go back to 2008. It's still not locked in. Like, Nebraska could win out, and I think they would feel pretty good. even if you lose a couple, I think it's going to be pretty dicey. Right now, they're 23rd in the RPI, which you're close, but there's going to be a lot more, ACC teams that are going to get more bump from playing other ACC teams. SEC teams, same thing. You're going to have some of those non-power conference schools like Coastal Carolina. Yeah. They're still going to just stack wins against terrible competition, but it's going to be hard to deny them. It's still an uphill climb. There's no doubt about it, but they played pretty well non-con. They got some stuff done there. And as long as they don't lose a series down the stretch, they've got some tough ones, but they do have a real shot to do the stated goal of Will Bolt every season is to host a regional. They've got a real shot to do it at this point.
Yeah. Like you said, the Big Ten is going to act as an anchor here too on them. And, whereas in softball, you can be a little more dominant. You can expect to sweep. It's tougher in baseball. It just is where you're running 3 different starting pitchers out there. And we're coming up on a massive stretch for Husker baseball. I mean, you look at 3 at Oregon, 3 home against USC, and that program has come back from absolute death to be a factor this year. Those 6, you got to make some hay. I don't know if you have to win both those series. It'd sure be a good idea. And those are your chances to at least solidify yourself in the RPI to say, okay, maybe we're top 20. And oh, by the way, we beat the best teams in our conference. And if you're able to do that, then you can start to make that case, even if you're sitting 20, 21, 22 in the RPI. But if you go out and you lose both those series to Oregon and USC, it's a whole lot tougher case to make, because I think the committee will already be thinking we're reaching a little bit with Nebraska here. Unfortunately, fair or unfair, just because of where Nebraska is going to be RPI wise, they're probably, even if they ran the table, they're not going to get to the top 16. I don't think. Yeah. Through no fault of their own. So if you're already facing those headwinds, and then you finally get a chance to play teams that will catch people's eyes and those quote unquote good wins, you got to take advantage. Yeah. I mean, these 2, obviously you take care of the business in front of you. You go out and you beat Penn State, but those next 2 series, massive.
Oregon's 23-6, just like the Huskers. USC is 27-3, ranked 12th this week. UCLA, though, not on Nebraska's schedule, still helping. Yeah, because they are as good as any baseball team in the country. They're 26-2 and ranked number 1 in the country, number 2 in the RPI. UCLA is helping the RPI case, but they're not on Nebraska's schedule, so you wouldn't see them until potentially in the Big Ten tournament. Yeah. So as you mentioned, you got this weekend, and then it's really time for Nebraska to go out and take it. It's all right there in front of them. If they can win the rest of their series at a minimum, sweep a few as well, they're going to be positioned for that host opportunity. So we'll see what happens. That's a doubleheader at 2:00 with first pitch. Pregame is at 1:30. You'll have second game starting roughly around 6:00 against the Nittany Lions over at Haymarket Park, Hawks Field. All right. Right after this, Nate and I get you ready for the weekend here on the KLIN Husker Hour.
You're listening to the KLIN Husker Hour. Executive Travel Talk is next on 1499.3 KLIN. current and former Huskers, and those that cover the Big Red. This is the KLIN Husker Hour on Lincoln's Husker Radio, 1499.3.
Well, it's Final Four Saturday, and of course, Nebraska came up short on Sweet 16 Thursday, but it's a Big Ten flavor. You have the Big Ten teams in both games, and I don't know if there's any rooting interests out there, but Nebraska beat one of these teams and came really close, even shorthanded on the road to beating another. So it's I think it'll be an interesting watch tonight.
Yeah, I mean, two good matchups. You feel like that first matchup's really where it's at, and you know, if the big, wouldn't it be something? Dare to dream. We've already got a football national championship in this conference
3 years in a row now.
Yeah. Could there be a men's basketball national championship?
It's been since 2000. And on the women's side, UCLA will face South Carolina for the title. The women in the Big Ten in basketball have not won a title since 1999, a year before.
Get
Tom
some
Izzo and
monkeys
Michigan
off
State.
our backs.
Hey, tis the season for that stuff.
Indeed.
Nebraska famously did so just a couple weeks ago. Okay, we're all done here. Thanks to Kaleb Henry from HuskerMax for joining us. Thanks to Kenny Larrabee for getting us up on the StreamYard. Again, double headers for both softball and baseball. Head over to Haymarket Park. Bullen Stadium and Hawks Field are going to be hopping today. Softball starts at 1.
Yes.
Over on B107.3.
Pregame 12:45.
12:45. And then baseball over right here at 1:30 with the pregame, and then 2 o'clock first pitch against Penn State. And softball's taking on Rutgers. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Nate Rohr. I'm Cole Stukenholtz, and we'll be back next week with another edition of the KLIN Husker Hour. Go Big Red.